So the question is, was Amber Brown in the vehicle with J.J. Scarborough when the incident, the ran the stop sign, high-speed chase, shooting incident occurred? Was she with him or was she not with him? Why does it matter? Does it really matter? So the defamation case that Amber has against Chris Ryder right now, he accuses her of, well, let's have a look, see, what is he saying that she did? So the defendant stated that I was hanging out the window shooting at another vehicle during a police pursuit, right? That's the false statement she says is false. The truth, I have never shot a weapon of any kind at a person. The evidence, the police report, which is a public record, clearly shows I was not involved in any type of shooting. And she points to the exhibit of the police report. So I have the police report. I have the police report, a video that shows the police report on my channel. I'm going to link that to the in the description. You can look at it yourself and read it yourself. But what the police report does, it's a narrative of the chase, stop sign, chase, shooting, whatever, that does not mention her at all as being present at all, right? Now, it would seem like to me, it's like, okay, the quickest way and easiest way to dispel that is to say, I wasn't even there. I wasn't even in the truck. I wasn't present during the high-speed chase and shooting. But she doesn't say that. She just says, I've never shot at a person before. And I was not involved in the shooting, according to the report. So if you look at the report and she's not mentioned there, then you get the impression that she wasn't there, right? But was she there? And they just didn't put it in the report? That's the big question. That's why, that's kind of why it matters. Because if she was there, and on the official police report that was sent to the DOJ or whatever, it doesn't mention that she was even there, although it mentions everyone else that was there, right? Why did they leave her off if she was actually in the truck when it happened? She doesn't flat out deny that she was there. She just said, I wasn't involved, which is fine. That's a legal thing. You don't go answering questions that you weren't asked. She's accused of shooting at a car. She says, I've never shot at a car. The problem is where she says the police report is public evidence that I was not involved. So again, that might be a little wordplay. What does involved actually mean? Does involved mean I wasn't there? I wasn't in the truck during the high-speed chase. I wasn't in the truck during the shooting. That means, or I was there, but just I didn't shoot it. I didn't shoot at anybody. So what does exactly involvement pertain? So it's kind of an interesting question to me. I don't know if it's interesting to you. So the first question is, what would make you think that she was in the truck at all? I mean, if the report doesn't say that she was in the truck, she doesn't deny that she was in the truck, but she denied that she shot anybody. Why would you think that she was in the truck? Because it would not be, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to show a couple of videos where Scarborough describes an incident where he was out collecting warrants, right? Well, actually, I'm going to have two video clips. Both of them describe that JJ was out serving arrest warrants. And The first one was a real cute story about how he was went to this drug house, and there was like 7 or 8, characters out there, and he ran him up a couple of warrants, and he was handcuffing him, and Amber locked him out of the truck because she grabbed the dog. The dog is Shooter, the jail dog, right? And I'll show you the little clip of that. And the timing of when JJ says that they got Shooter goes back to the same general time frame as the time frame where the shooting incident occurred, somewhere around 1919, 1920, around that general area. So it's not unusual, based on the first story, that she would be out with him collecting people on arrest warrants, just those two together. So in the first one, he says he was out alone. I was out alone warrants. Well, he wasn't alone because she was with him. And, when you watch this, and Fraud Wrangler asks JJ, well, you were armed, weren't you? Well, you were armed. And JJ wouldn't answer, right? But if you watch Amber closely, and I highlighted this in the video clip, when he asked if you were armed, weren't you? Had your sidearm? She shook her head yes, which makes me think she could very well be answering that she was armed. She had a sidearm. So, okay, so was she out collecting warrants with JJ as his backup or assistant or whatever, serving arrest warrants, armed with her own sidearm? Who goes out and serves arrest warrants by themselves, right? Which is what he says in the second clip. No, the first clip, he says, I was serving arrest warrants by myself, but he wasn't by himself. In the second clip, he says, we were out collecting arrest warrants, serving arrest warrants. He doesn't say who we are, right? But if you read the report of the incident, there were no other cops there, right? Like, no other cops showed up until after the high-speed chase and after, I guess the shooting was already done when White had showed up. So if he was out we were out warrants, it's very well likely that when he said we were out doing warrants, that he was referring to maybe Amber was with him, is we. The whole thing is just really shaky. And the only reason I think it's important is because if she was in that truck and the report doesn't mention her as being present at all, that seems really kind of shaky right there to me. That's an official, police report. And you have someone who may have been in the passenger seat and witnessed and been part of involved in the whole thing. And then for some reason, the name is not mentioned, right? So my question is, was she there? This is a simple question. Not that it means she shot at anybody, but just was she there? So let's see. Here is the first one.
You all don't forget this is the time whenever this is the same person that whenever we was out at a house one night serving warrants and I was by myself, that she's the one who locked me out of the truck as she rescued a dog from eating trash and locked me out of the truck. And I forgot, was there 7 or 9 people that was?
Did you have your sidearm?
Okay, here's where he asked, did you have your sidearm? Now watch Amber shake her head yes. Watch.
There's 7 or 9 people.
But did you have your sidearm?
Like 7 or 9 to 1. And I remember this. I was standing, 10 feet in front of the truck, and done confirmed a couple of warrants on these folks and was actually in the process of handcuffing. And I heard that clunk, that power door lock clunk. And I'm like,
let's go back a second. Catch where he says,
face of his dog.
Let's go back a second and catch where he says, I was out serving warrants by myself.
Be called Kimmy's Art.
You all don't forget this is the time whenever this is the same person that whenever we was out at a house one night serving warrants and I was by myself.
We were out serving warrants, and I was by myself. Really? Okay.
That she's the one who locked me out of the truck. Is she rescued a dog from eating trash and locked me out of the truck.
This is just an example of really unprofessional, I think. And I'm not, I don't, this is just my opinion. Really unprofessional policing. I mean, Jiminy Christmas. Just think if something went sideways, what,
And was, I forgot, was there 7 or 9 people at this house?
Did you have your sidearm?
There's 7 or 9 people.
But did you have
I
your
was
sidearm?
like 7 or 9 to 1. And I mean, I remember this. I was standing, 10 feet in front of the truck, and done confirmed a couple of warrants on these folks and was actually in the process of handcuffing. And I heard that clunk, that power door lock clunk. And I'm like, turned around and all I could see is his face with his dog. Really?
Yeah, it's a real cute story.
You had your sidearm, I'm sure.
And you remember the house we was at? Mm-hmm. This house was like
sure, it was a crack house.
Several calls to this house. A whole lot of stuff at this house. It was actually quite amusing at the time because I remember.
Yeah, it's amusing, really funny.
I got back in the truck. I said, "What are you gonna do with the dog?" She said, "We're taking it." She said, "They give it to me." I said, "Well, what are we gonna do with the dog?" She said, "It'll be a good jail dog." So that's Shooter. That's actually the dog that you all seen the pictures of.
Oh.
Okay, so the dog is Shooter. Now this is a clip from WMMG. Chad Hobbs, the local, butt sniffer, the whatever journalist guy, who did a visit to the jail, and he shows us Shooter and tells us, JJ gives us a kind of a time frame when he acquired Shooter.
Right. Is that the mascot?
That is the mascot. Shooter's our little puppy. He goes back quite a few years. We actually have a pretty good story behind him.
It's quite a few years. This was like in 2024. So quite a few years, and with this cute story, when he got Shooter quite a few years, that puts it in the time frame, possibly around 2020, 2019, 2020, when the same time frame that the spray and pray incident occurred, right? And now here's JJ talking about the spray and pray incident, where he says we were out serving warrants, right?
We was out one night serving warrants. Saw an old boy. He did run.
So we were out one night serving warrants. But in the police report, there's no indication that there was any we in the police report. Another cop didn't show up, and it was Ray Whited until after, the end of the high-speed chase, right? The shooting was already over by the time Whited and some other guy showed up. So I don't know who he's talking about. That we could be JJ and Amber again with him on serving warrants, out serving warrants.
To a stop sign. He just didn't like run a stop sign like we do every day, like maybe being like late for work or something. He liked run a stop sign, like recklessly. So just lit him up, from pull him over, just done slow down, pay attention. He finally pulled over after about half a mile, and about time to get out of the vehicle, his passenger door opened and the guy started to step out. Well, the guy got about halfway out of the car and the driver kept driving, or he took off. Well, he starts partially dragging this old man down the road.
Okay. So we don't need to watch that whole thing. So what I'm establishing here is that based on history and evidence, not really evidence, but the videos, it is not unreasonable to conclude that Amber may have been with him. during the incident. And then there are another couple of data points. So there's a that I'll show you. There's a federal civil rights lawsuit going on right now against the jail, and against Amber, Brandon Finch, and Rebecca lady. And JJ was included in it, but then he got taken off the lawsuit, and then the actual county, Meade County, got added in JJ's place, because apparently if you're if you're an elected official and you're in charge of like the detention center and the employees are just running amok and violating people's rights, unless something is shown that actually has your particular fingerprints on it, that you actually did something, you're just not responsible at all, So they go with the Monell claim, they jack it up to Monell, and they have to sue the county. So JJ's scot-free, but everyone else is on the hook. But anyway, so in that case, is interesting. A little update on that one. Both sides now, and that's where there's a whole bunch of stuff, including deliberate indifference by Amber, and just denial of religious materials. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of stuff. So that now has been going on for a couple of years or something, and now just recently, both sides have filed for summary judgment, right, in their favor, and we're just waiting to see what the judge says. So, the judge is going to rule on summary judgment, yes or no, one or one, none or one, or it can't be both, I guess. So we'll see. But the interesting is when they motion for summary judgment, they dumped all their discovery out. So there were a couple of interesting things, and when I went through discovery and looked at it, they kind of pertain to this in a way, but they're more current. But they're interesting nonetheless about like Amber's situation and what she's doing. So the first one was well, actually this is something I saw in Amber put in a chat somewhere, probably maybe, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks ago. I just took a snapshot of it because it was news to me. She says I'm actually deputy trained as well, and also a sworn in peace officer in the state of Kentucky. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Sworn peace officer. I've never heard it. Never heard that come up before. When that happened, who knows? I mean, and then, but in the discovery material, there were the training, her training records at the jail. And I found this one interesting where, and it looks like it's, started in like 2023 or 2022, her deputy, her jail deputy training. So this is way after both incidents. This is like, if they're showing all of her training, what only shows up here is, if you look, they're 2 years. I think it's 2023 and 2024, I believe, maybe. So who knows when she acquired this second job title as a deputy jailer, responsibility. When did she start training for it? I would assume, she would get the deputy jailer thing before she could be, a sworn peace officer, I would assume. So this is just interesting. This more reflects the situation right now. So if she's a peace officer, I guess she can go out now. Maybe she can go out and do traffic stops and, high speed chases, and maybe kick down drug doors, all stuff JJ's been doing. Go out and serve warrants, and who knows what's going on with these people. Anyway, so I'm just curious to see. I want to see an answer. I mean, I'm just curious, because the big thing is if someone was there, she was with him, whether she shot or not that's up for the courts to decide, or whatever. But the fact that she was not mentioned on the police report, if she was in fact there with JJ in that truck during that speed chase, and it looks like that she very well could have been. She doesn't actually deny being in the truck. That's a legal thing. But if she was, and she wasn't put on the police report, that's I don't know. That's kind of bad. That's I don't know. To me, it just seems really bad. So we'll see. We'll see, and I'll keep up with it and let you know what I find out if you're interested. All right. We got a cheerio.